Tonight, Eau Claire officially turns 150 years old tomorrow.
And to cap off our celebration of that history, our own Felicity Boss joins us in the studio once again to share more about the way Eau Claire has evolved over these years.
Thanks, Keith and Shannon. Tonight, I want to focus on something that everyone in Eau Claire is a part of, the history of our downtown.
If you were here in 1872, you would see dirt roads, you would see a lot of wooden buildings. We could look this way and we would see the steamboat coming up and a couple businesses.
There were very few structures in Eau Claire when it was founded in 1872 that we can see today. Besides a few homes, Eau Claire's oldest structures are found on Water Street.
We have in the block where the nucleus is, that set of buildings was rebuilt in 1882.
Rebuilt after a fire caused by a steamboat destroyed more than 70 buildings along that road. And while they were frequent, it wasn't always fires that caused Eau Claire's architecture to come down.
Yeah, when I think of iconic buildings downtown that are no longer here, I think of three right away. I think of the Opera House, which was on Barstow, a really grand place done in 1883, demolished in 1938. I think of Hotel Eau Claire, where people had many events and functions there, and it was in existence from 1920 to 1970. And then I think of the Elks Club on Farwell and Grand. It was a beautiful, big, old building, and it started in the late 1800s, and in 1966, it was demolished for the bank.
Another site from Eau Claire's past that is now gone is the Electric Steel Railway. One of the first to be built in the country, it connected Eau Claire with Chippewa Falls, and in 1911, it expanded, going as far as Wabasha, Minnesota.
And then in 1926, service ended, and the rails were actually just paved right over.
As Eau Claire's population grew over the 20th century, so did downtown, becoming what defined the city and brought people together.
And probably my favorite picture of downtown is in the 1950s. It's really bustling. There's people everywhere, there's cars everywhere. It looked like a fun place to be.
But like many cities across the country, the advent of the mall moved people away from Main Street. It wasn't until more recent history that downtown has seen a revitalization, thanks in part to the one thing that has always brought people to Eau Claire.
I don't think the river was appreciated as much when downtown was being built. It started as a very important part. It had the steamboats, it brought all the goods into the city, it brought passengers and immigrants. And then we went through a period where it just wasn't utilized much. And now it's nice to see it coming back and taking advantage of those beautiful scenes that we have.
One more thing I want to mention is Phoenix Park and how it's changed over time. For most of Eau Claire's 150 years, it was a very industrial space, becoming home to the company Phoenix Steel in the late 1800s. The area remained an industrial site until the idea and conversations for a park emerged in the late 1980s and early 90s. Creating Phoenix Park was a huge community effort that took years, and at the International Fall Festival in 2005, the park was officially dedicated with the hope that it would be just the thing Eau Claire needed to revitalize our downtown.
All right, thanks for that story, Felicity, and for all the stories this week as we celebrate Eau Claire's sesquicentennial.
And those stories can be found on our website, wqoow.com/history.